Hey, gents. Good evening.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Glad to be back.
Welcome aboard. Welcome back, Igor. Hello, Anthony. I know that just before we hit the record button here, we took a look at the Jays score. It was 3-0. That's over. It's over. It's game over. It's game over for the Jays. They can't come back. Listeners, viewers, welcome aboard. Episode 58 of the Six Sports Podcast. Sergio here, as I mentioned, Igor and Anthony. Joining me tonight as we've got some stuff to talk about, I think. A couple of bulletin board material media availabilities, if you will. One by the general manager of the Toronto Blue Jays this past weekend. And, of course, the official announcement or the official unveiling of a new coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs as Craig Berube gets the job. Who would have believed that he was going to be the guy to get the job, eh? How do you feel?
You called it, Serge. You called it.
No, I didn't call anything. I just followed all the rumors that were online. Who gives a crap? That doesn't make me any smarter.
Are we happy about the move? Igor? Excited?
Excited. It's weird. So I'm seeing a lot of in the comments of like people's tweets and stuff. I'm seeing a lot of oh god, the more I listen to this man speak, the more I want to run it back just to see what it would look like. And I'm like, tightrope. We're definitely walking on a tightrope there.
Yeah. Well, that doubles down on everything that I said. Multiple episodes in a row now. Had you changed the coach in season, this likely would have been the replacement because he had just gotten fired. I believe it was in December from St. Louis, if I recall. November, December, whatever the time frame was. That's when the Berube rumors started. They started then. You know, this isn't a 5-minute rumor here in Toronto that just started after the season and Sheldon Keefe got fired. It was then. So, and that's why I said it. Had they done it then, they would have had those answers already. There would have been no mystery now. There would have been no temptation to go left or to go right. You would have known because he would have been in the dressing room for that playoff run. Maybe they're still in it now and we view this completely differently. Maybe they're more than likely eliminated regardless. And he's walking into the GM's office saying, help, help, help. So, you know, I guess the only takeaway that I'll take, and we can get into the Leaf stuff a little bit later in the episode. The only thing that I'll take away, he was on the TNT panel for the playoffs. I don't know if he's continuing for the rest because I forget how the scheduling works. I don't know if TNT still has games. But I know he would have caught some of the Leafs games against Boston, I believe. So maybe he's got a bit of an opinion just based on watching some of that. I really hope that he doesn't walk into the room
I
and
really
say keep them all.
But I really do hope he hasn't formed an opinion based on 7 games. Right, of which 3 of them weren't played by Nylander and the rest were played by an injured Matthews. I really hope he has an opinion based on it, like, you know, the networking, you know, access to information that he has amongst coaches and scouts for the last 8 years.
Okay, so then let's get into this then. You know what? I'm not going to park this because now you're ruffling my feathers.
Why?
If he walks into the GM's office right now and goes off of what you just said and says, you know what? I need a year with all of these guys before you do anything.
What if he watches some game tape?
Why does he need a year?
Fuck.
Years.
But then I'm saying, oh, shit.
He doesn't need a year.
Okay. Well,
is the whole. So this is the guy who's going to fix this core?
I don't think so.
Exactly.
I don't think so. But I'm just going off of what you said. I hope he doesn't formulate his opinion on the fact that Nylander missed 3 and Matthews missed 5. If they're healthy and the Leafs get by Boston, do you believe they would have got by Florida?
Completely irrelevant.
No. Yes or no?
How do I know? I don't know that. How do I know that? I don't know. No,
well,
I would not have picked them. I would not have picked them at all. If I was a betting man, there's no chance he would have given me $1.
Good. Then that's
My point is,
that's
I'm
the whole
agreeing with
point.
you. I'm
Okay.
agreeing with you. I just went around the different way. You went left, I went right.
Ah,
Sleight of
Okay, I'm
hand.
saying that you
Jesus.
cannot make an opinion. So like, yeah, like, look, this is an irrelevant hiring, irrelevant, because this group survives coaching changes,
Oh, well, they have
right? They
to
have
date.
in the past survived. So until I see real change,
Yeah.
please don't try to sell me that no, Berube is gonna fix the power play and he'll
Okay.
fix this and he'll fix that. And
All
I
right.
don't want to hear about any speeches about character and his accountability crap. Marner and these guys have proven they will push back.
Yeah. Then we are on the same page. Okay. All right. Thank you for what I thought was ruffling my feathers, but you really didn't. No, we are very much on the same page. There is a change that is needed to the nucleus of this team. We keep talking about it. Um, I'm still not 100% convinced it's going to happen though, and it's not because of Berube coming in. I think that
It's
I
hard to do
think no,
logistically.
but it's not. It's not about that. It's not about that because the options are going to be limited. Okay, and that doesn't mean that there's not 31 teams that are interested. I'm going to keep repeating this because I feel like a lot of people that I converse with on a daily basis about this subject don't get it through their own thick skulls for whatever reason. Mitch Marner is not coming to you and saying trade me anywhere. Like I really, really, truly believe that there are tons of people in this city that are fans of this team that don't understand the dynamic of how this trade is going to come together, that don't truly understand that this player controls the process. And even if he is agreeable to wanting out, he is not coming to you with a list that's this long. He is going to sit down with his wife. This is real life away from hockey situation. And he's going to look at his wife in the eye and say, where do you want to be for the next 9 years? Where do you want to raise a kid when we have one? Where do you want us to have a family? And the wife invariably is going to turn around and say, I'm okay with A and I'm okay with B. It's not going to be with A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And here's a long list of A. You can pick any destination in this part of the map of the US. It's not going to happen. My guess is only because of, when these situations arise where players tend to want to go. Okay. My guess is she might say, I'm cool with California. I'm cool with Nevada. That would give you 4 teams. That would
Somewhere
be a
with no
blessing,
winter.
right? But usually, right?
Yeah.
She can come out and say, I'd be okay with Florida, but I just don't know that there's a trade there, right? The Florida Panthers aren't going to make a trade with you for Mitch Marner in all likelihood. And I don't know that Tampa can even fit him if they were even interested, right? And I don't know what you would get back in that money in, money out deal. Vegas presents a similar issue. We've said this. If Mitch Marner comes out and says, yes, I'll take a trade to one team and it's Las Vegas, it's a money in, money out trade.
I don't think Vegas.
But even
Vegas
if
is
they
way more
did,
cutthroat, though. I'm saying they'll do
but
it. They'll be like, okay, no problem. We'll move one of the stars out
no, yeah,
or whatever it is.
but that's my point. It's a money
Yeah.
in, money. So this
Yeah.
fantasy about, oh, we're going to gain $11 million and how are we going to spend it? No, it's not going to work that way.
Yeah.
You're going to have to take salary back, and it's salary that's likely going to be under contract for more than a season or more than 2.
Yeah.
So this might not go swimmingly. And what might happen because of this is Tree Living is going to sit there and say, okay, there's not a trade that I love with the options that I'm presented. And it might sway him to keep the player. And then inevitably that leads to an extension because they're not going to let him walk for nothing. Right. So what we would desire, and I'll because I'm not speaking for you guys, but just for myself, I would move Marner for the sake of moving Marner only because I keep lamenting the fact that you need to change the nucleus. So in order to do that, you might have to swallow something that doesn't look great on paper, or something, or a trade that doesn't go swimmingly for Toronto. You might have to swallow that. But that's me. I'm just a fan. General manager doesn't operate under that notion.
Okay, but like, and I'll be honest, I'd be okay with like a three for one trade, right? Some kind of 2 players to match a contract and a prospect and a pick. But
Okay.
I know you're not getting great players back, but you are getting depth. But what if you're getting back a trade that lines up with Connor McDavid's free agency?
So we're talking about a futures trade more than anything, right?
No, you're going to get back serviceable players because there's still a pressure to win in this market. But let's say you get guys who've got a couple of years left on their term.
Yeah.
Right? And it lines up with Connor McDavid's free agency.
You know already how I feel about that. You know how I feel about that.
Question.
Yeah. You know already how I feel about
right?
that.
And this happens in basketball all the time.
All the time.
You always hear about this trade means they are going to sign so-and-so in 2 years. Like, I mean, everybody was clearing room for LeBron and things like that. That happens in basketball all the time. And given the cap in hockey, and, as the general managers in hockey get younger,
yeah,
someone should start thinking like that.
If I've said it more than once. Igor's giggled every time that I said, but he said it too. If Connor McDavid makes it to free agency, he's a Toronto Maple Leaf. I don't care how crazy that sounds to people. If he makes it to free agency, it's solely for the purpose of donning a Leaf jersey.
You have to make a trade for Marner that sets that.
Sure.
That opens you up to potentially 17 million or whatever you're going to have to pay.
No, but it opens you up to some kind of consideration, right? That say, like, look, Connor, in 2 years, there's space here. Some space. And we'll continue. We'll continue it. All you have to do is just sign guys to 1-year deals.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. There would be a lot of back channel conversations happening if Connor McDavid is truly interested in leaving Edmonton. And I'm not suggesting he is or he isn't, but if the consideration is there, you know what makes it a lot easier to leave a city? If you won a cup. And he's one of 4 teams that are left in the playoffs. If Edmonton continues a run here and gets reasonable goaltending, I guess, and he gets the cup, it makes it easier to leave after.
I don't think he will.
No, hold on. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The guilt that you feel. So, like, the NHL athletes.
You wanted. That's it.
Yeah, the NHL superstars are kind of built differently, right? They don't often leave unless they're pushed out, a.k.a., Mitch Marner right now. But they don't often leave if they're presented with the option to leave. They almost always resign, especially the stars, almost always resign with their team. But if the thought is in the back of his mind, I'd consider it. It's 10 times easier to leave if you've already won a cup 2 years ago, because at least you don't feel the guilt of, if I just would have won while I was there. No, you've done it. And now you could just say, listen, it was a hell of a run, but...
Well, that's the opposite of what happened here with Tavares.
But Tavares literally was the one-off in a very, very long time in the NHL.
Yeah,
like truly the one-off where like it had really...
I think Draisaitl explains it though, right? When Draisaitl signs an extension this summer, I got to believe he's doing it with some kind of assurance from Connor McDavid that, I'm not going.
No.
If Draisaitl doesn't, then I think all bets are off. What's
the assurance? What assurance can I give you when my contract is up in 3 years?
Well, you got to feel some kind of, that there's got to be some. Okay, it doesn't have to be a guarantee,
right?
Some level of confidence that Connor's gonna we're gonna continue.
I mean, I guess. Stuff. Anyways, it's intriguing.
If I'm Connor McDavid, I'd rather play with Leon Draisaitl than anybody who's wearing a Leaf uniform.
Well, is there a temptation there to 100 assists to Austin Matthews? I don't know.
You're going to play 2 top centers on the same... on the power play, but you're not playing...
we're talking about the power play. How else do the Edmonton Oilers succeed?
They team them up every once in a while. They put
It's
them together.
power play.
Yeah.
The Oilers are where they are right now. Make no mistake about it. I don't even have the stats in front of me, but if the stats were opposite to this, egg on my face, but I can say with almost 99% confidence that the majority of their goals in this year's playoffs, I mean, at least 40% of them have come via the power
I think
play.
closer to 50. Yeah, unless
Okay.
something happened in the last game or two, but pretty close to 50. I'm pretty sure.
The Edmonton Oilers munch on the power play, like absolutely munch on the power play. It's. I don't want to say it's feast or famine, but that's where the majority of their offense. You take a penalty against Edmonton, you're in effing trouble. I'll tell you that much, because it's crazy to have those two guys in McDavid and Draisaitl, and then you got Evan Bouchard on the back end. I mean, he's having a phenomenal playoff again. He's got like 19 points in 13 or 14 games or something like that. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I still think they're the weakest out of the 4 teams that are in the playoffs. right
Okay,
now.
so let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's get into that. Let's park
Sure.
the Leaf stuff just for a second here.
Yeah.
NHL playoffs, we're down to the final 4. We've got Edmonton going against Dallas. We've got the Rangers going against Florida. I don't care which, so you can go on the Edmonton series now because we're talking about them. What do you think happens in that series?
Dallas all day, every day, I think. The Edmonton comes out of like a Mickey Mouse division. You know what I mean? Like their division sucks. If they don't come out of that division, fire everybody right away. You know what I mean? Like Dallas had to go through Vegas, last
Yeah.
year Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah.
Colorado 2 years ago Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah.
But they got some breaks with Colorado, right? Landeskog out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Okay.
The name escapes me, but the one who's in the player assistance program.
Two world it's like the division of death, you know, whatever they have in World Cup,
Yeah.
right? It's like the group of death. You don't want to be going through Vegas. Who picked Dallas to survive that even? And they're a great team.
Well,
right?
that was a tough matchup. No doubt.
So
No doubt. Okay.
But I
You
agree
got-
with Igor too, because for me it is like stars and 6. But Dallas is a weird team because then they play the Leafs in the regular season, and I'm like, this team is nothing. Like, why do we keep thinking this team is a contender? And the Leafs handled them.
Yeah, but the Leafs
Right?
have
And then-
handled
and then-
the
and then-
Western Conference for the last 3 years.
Well,
It's true.
they didn't lose to the best. They didn't lose to the best team in the playoffs this year, right? Like they find a way. Their game just
Yeah.
drops off.
Yeah, but-
Holy shit!
Absolutely.
it was like
Absolutely.
Vancouver's game 7. Pulled a big
Oh.
Toronto Maple Leaf right there.
What was that? 6 or 7 shots after 2
I think it
periods or
was
something
4
like that?
shots with 30 minutes into the game already. It was crazy.
Reminds me of, and I'm not going to remember the year, that Leafs playoff series
Mhm.
against the Devils, which was,
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was a game 6 or a game 7, but it
Game
was
6, like 98,
they
around
had
there,
like
98,
they had
90, yeah.
6 shots.
6
throughout
shots
the
the
whole
entire
game.
game.
Yeah. Okay. So both of you are on Dallas. Listen, I'm going to say this. First off, I'm going to say on the air, Robert Chardy, you're a little bit late on the phone call. You might have been busy, so you're giving me a call right now. I wanted to have you on this episode, bud, but unfortunately, I got to mute your call. I should have almost played it live on the air. So my lean is Dallas, right? Power play. If Dallas takes unnecessary penalties in this series, I mean, the puck's going in the back of the net. Edmonton, we just said it. Like, they are feasters on the power play.
I
And
heard
that could be the difference here. That could be the difference.
I heard a stat while I was in the shower listening to a podcast. And
Whose podcast?
Thanks for letting us know you were in the shower.
yeah, well, you know. And I think it was the guys on Overdrive.
Okay.
So something crazy like Tanev and whoever he's with, that pairing, basically shut down McKinnon. I think McKinnon had 1 goal maybe. And then
Yeah.
Eichel had completely 0 anything, like did nothing. So, you know,
So the
next
Leafs will
is
sign him to an
McDavid
8-year
and
contract.
Draisaitl, right? Plus, what?
So the Leafs will sign him to an 8-year
Yeah,
contract.
I've got an opinion specifically on Tanner.
Anyways,
go ahead, finish your thought.
Also, I would say not only is Edmonton the worst team out of the 4, their goaltending is by far the worst goaltending out of the 4.
Okay.
And that I think that's going to cost them in the end. Like you can't if Vancouver showed up for longer than 8 minutes of that game, I don't know. We could have been having a completely different conversation right now.
Well, I mean, they found 2 in the third period, so you're not wrong. Okay, let's flip over to the Eastern Conference, and you've got the New York Rangers against Florida.
Florida.
Really?
Florida. Yeah.
Just like that? I don't know, man. That's tough.
I think they beat him up.
Why is the perception that
Trouba against Tkachuk is going to be incredible?
Yeah. And by the way, at any point, the Rangers can put Rempe in the lineup and he can run over the entire Florida Panthers team. Remember the words that Brad Marchand uttered in that interview that everyone went crazy about? The recent interview last week?
Yeah.
I mean, it was everywhere, right? I mean, Overdrive was playing it like hell, where he was making comments about like playoff hockey is just different. And, you know, sometimes you take a run at guys and it benefits your team if you knock someone else out.
Yeah.
The New York Rangers may insert Rempe into a game with the sole purpose of pick one Florida Panther and I'm going to take him out.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. I'm still going with Florida.
Is Florida gonna? It's like I'm just trying to understand. Like who on the Rangers is Florida throwing around? Panarin, I guess, maybe.
Sure.
I mean, Zibanejad's like 215 with. Oh yeah.
Small. Okay.
Zibanejad looks small.
Well, he looks like nothing, on the ice. Just whatever, like a skinny guy with long hair. That's what he looks like to me.
Do you look at the size of his ass when he's on the ice?
I don't stare at dudes' asses.
Well, I mean, you maybe you should. I mean, I don't know. I'm looking this up right now.
All right.
6'2" and 201.
Okay.
He's not small, man.
He's not
small.
Little light on the 6'2".
Listen. Anthony's like, yeah, Florida all the way. You can't convince me any differently.
No, Florida in 6.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I got Rangers in 6. Oh,
it's an early series? Okay.
Well, I just think that the Rangers take not early. I mean 6 or 7.
6.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
not 7.
Game.
Yeah. I'm going to go Rangers in 6 on this one. That's right.
I think it's 50-50. You're basically going it's the President's Trophy winning team versus Florida, who's, we know what Florida's like, and so does the rest of the league. But
yeah, they're really good, Igor.
They are really good.
They're the President's Trophy
in the league
2 years ago, and they went to the finals last year.
Okay, well, it's not like. Okay, well, outside of Washington, which was a gimme for the Rangers, Carolina, you would say, was a tough matchup.
Yeah, tough matchup, but not a tough series. And this is so.
With Frederik Andersen in net, was it a tough matchup with that goalie?
Yeah, but this is my point. Florida is coming off playing arguably 2 tougher series. Yes, they handled Tampa, but Tampa can throw the body. And then their series against Boston, again, they took care of Boston, but Boston can throw the body. So they are physical series is really what I'm trying to say. The Rangers haven't had that, so some people might look at that as a negative, but it's just by virtue of who the Rangers played. And what I think is that the Rangers walk into this series less beat up, fresher, but are still able to answer the bell to the toughness that the Panthers are going to try to inflict here, because the Rangers have some tough players too.
Yep.
So on that basis, and the fact that Shesterkin is finding his game, I give the edge to the Rangers. And I think that now at this point, since I completely flopped on my before the playoffs started prediction, I will go with the Rangers and the Oilers in the final.
Oh, Rangers
Yeah,
Oilers.
That's
All right.
wild.
Rangers Oilers.
That's
Yes.
wild.
Florida Dallas, a Sportsnet nightmare.
Hey, Sportsnet has to feel at least a little happy that they get a Canadian team still in there.
Yep.
And though I've had this argument at length with someone, slightly better start times for the East Coast in terms of the Edmonton series. I don't think there's a start time later than 8:30.
Well, they're not 3 hours back, right? They're 2 hours back each team.
Yeah, well, but Vancouver was, right? So
Vancouver was, yeah.
I was having an argument with someone the other day who again pissed and moaned that the NHL didn't know what they were doing. This multiple times that he said this because they started the game at 9:00. And I'm like, starting the game at 9:00 is still 1 hour earlier than what the normal start times are in Vancouver. And I said, and the NHL is always going to be forgiving to the time zone and the players within that time zone because that's just the way that it has to be. And then the first argument is, well, it's a holiday Monday. They could have started them earlier. I'm like, well, what's earlier? He's like, well, they could have started them really early if they wanted to because it's a holiday Monday in Canada and everyone's off. I'm like, yes, but you can't start the game at 5:00 in the afternoon here, okay? Because it's like 2:00 there. And even if you wanted to start it at 5:00 there, which would have been 8:00 here, like that's it's an important game. It's a game 7, right? And these players aren't used to playing at that time, right? Oh, but Boston plays games at noon. I said, yeah, in the regular season on a Saturday that has
time.
7. No, but even if but they do it a lot. But there's 18 games on the schedule. It's not really 18, it's 16, but there's 16 games on the schedule. So NBC wants that, give us a 12:00 start. Well, when you get to the playoffs, you don't need that. And then it was, oh yeah, but the New York Knicks could play a game 7 at 3:00. I'm saying, yeah, but the Knicks play on a Sunday at 3:00 literally every week. And it was a doubleheader in the NBA. So I said, like last night in the NHL, if there were 2 game 7s, you wouldn't even have had a 9:00 start in the Edmonton Vancouver game. You would have had a 10
No,
p.m.
it's what
start.
you said though. Like the TV, like there's no game later than 8:30, right? I mean, it's national TV, right? Like the Americans are going to have a say too, right? Like
Yes.
ESPN and TNT are going to say, dude.
By the way, NHL viewership highest ever for the playoffs in their history. U.S. TV ratings, first 2 rounds.
Good.
Well, the Toronto round was the highest ever in round 1 history. Like our game 7 was watched by like, the whole world almost. Yeah.
Crazy.
Why?
Yeah.
What was the number?
I can't remember. It was huge.
I don't have the number, but it was a big number. Yeah.
In the U.S.
In the U.S. So, hey, I don't know,
Rangers,
man.
I mean, having a run with the Rangers on ESPN, like it's.
Oh, that helps.
Of course it should, right?
That helps, right? And I don't know what the Dallas numbers are, right? Big market, but I don't know how much it affects the TV rating. The Rangers definitely a big part of it, So good for them. Okay, so Ant, you've got, what'd you say, Dallas, Florida?
Yep.
And you're agreeing with that, Igor?
I don't know, just to be different. Well, let's go with Dallas, New York. Dallas, New York. Let's do it. Locking it in. Final answer.
Dallas, New York. All right, so we've represented all 4 teams in the finals, so that's good. Okay. Where do you want to go here?
You know what?
Want to talk about Berube a little bit?
No, let's go. We'll talk about Berube to end it off. I want to talk about Ross Atkins.
Hold on. Can we just stay off? Okay, just give me 1 second, Igor.
Yeah.
Yeah, these like the whole world watched kind of stuff, right? ESPN is averaging 2.6 million viewers.
Okay.
2.6 million.
Okay.
Like I understand it's high. Ratings are up percentage-wise. We're still talking 2.6 million. It's not a lot of people.
Hey,
Canada gets 5-6 million people, right? Like I'm not trying to be a downer here, but
But you are.
well, the whole world was watching.
The
Yeah.
Leaf game. No. The Leaf game.
Isn't
Maple Leaf Bruins, 1.1 million. TBS, 1.1 million.
well? There you go.
Round 1, game 1 of Stanley Cup Series on cable, 1.1 million. 1
It's
million
amazing.
people. That's a nice number.
It's a beautiful number.
That's good. That's what the Jays get every day. My point is the Jays,
3.2 million
for Game
people
7.
watched Game 7
Okay.
on ESPN.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay. The Jays get that every day. The Jays get 1 million viewers every day.
Yeah, but we're not adding the numbers of viewership in Toronto for that game, which probably was 4 million.
Of course not. Of
4
course
and a
not.
half, 5.
Sure.
How many suckers watched that game that night? Okay.
Well, Boston's a popular team too. They're
Listen,
actually the most popular road team.
I understand that you're just trying to put it in perspective, but it's growth. And it's important for the NHL to continue growing.
Yeah, and Caitlin Clark is going to destroy that number. Probably already has.
It's not a lie.
And I'm not knocking Caitlin Clark. I'm not knocking it. I'm gonna. You know what? A couple of days ago, I had my choice of games on TV. I had Florida Boston playoff. I think there was a J game. I can't remember.
Right.
There was an NBA playoff game, and there was Caitlin Clark's first WNBA game. Guess where I went?
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job of selling it, whether you like it or not. I got hooked. Now, am I going to go day in and day out? No. Am I going to give myself a break from it? Probably. But for that one night, when they need to get eyes on the screen, they did an amazing job just reeling you in.
Wow.
All day topic. Every talk show was about her debut. You couldn't not watch it.
I'm not going to give Igor an opportunity to talk about this because cancel culture is going to take over.
We'll get flagged.
So go ahead and switch the subject. My dear friend Igor, you wanted to talk about Ross Atkins.
Yeah.
What about?
So I was watching, and you guys know, and I don't know, I guess everybody else knows that I'm not a big baseball fan, but
Correct.
You told me to watch the interview, and I did the first half.
I did, yeah.
And here's what I noticed. So, and I brought this up to you, off camera, obviously,
Almost
earlier, but
immediately.
I'm gonna bring it up, again, because I need to get Anthony's, opinion on things. But so he's talking about the count and the hitting count, and they're over the last month he's seeing all this improvement, and they're getting all these fortunate counts, and things are good, and the analytics are good. And I'm sitting here completely not really a baseball fan, just thinking to myself, okay, if they're getting such fortunate counts and they're still not getting it done, is it then a personnel issue? Is it a skill issue? You know what I mean? What are we talking? Do we need to get rid of some of these guys? Because obviously, if somebody's serving them up to you on a platter and you're not knocking them out, then you're either drunk or something, or you're playing the wrong sport. Something's, I'm back, baby. I'm back. Anyway,
good Lord.
over.
Anthony, a non-baseball guy, listened to Ross Atkins
And
for
saw through
17
that pile of-
seconds.
And saw through that pile of shit that was trying to be sold.
Holy Christ. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, that's it, Igor, in a nutshell, right? So what do? Well, you get rid of the guy who believes that these favorable numbers are somehow encouraging. You also just want to see a philosophical change in the organization, right? Is it a skill set? Yeah, it probably is. The team's not good enough. But a general manager who's trying to sell you on things like exit velocity and blah, 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 whether he's right or wrong, no one cares. Right? We're as we're taping the game, we're excited about they scored 9 runs the night before. As we're taping this podcast, excuse me. They scored 9, and now today they're being no hit, perfect game through 5.
Yeah.
This type of roller coaster, so where was the hard hit balls today? So what's he gonna say that, oh yeah, no, I mean we didn't get a hit until the 6th inning. But we hit some line drives to third that, those are supposed to fall. But they don't fall.
But they don't fall.
They don't fall.
Igor, can I?
And this is even worse. You know what, Serge? At one point, again, I'm not like the biggest analytic guy and things like that, but if there was a shift being allowed to still happen in baseball, would they score a run? Because like and I get that baseball's offense is down throughout. It's not just the Jays, but like
Right.
it's down throughout baseball because the pitching is so good. But can you imagine if there was a shift?
But
I don't see how some of these guys would get a hit.
But they're still last. So listen, Igor,
Yeah, exactly. No,
I have in front of me right now the Baseball Savant page. This is MLB team rankings for some of these analytical data fancy stats. I'm going to read off a couple of things. Before I get to the ranking, I just want, again, you're not a baseball guy.
Sure.
So if I say something like hard hit percentage, what do you take that to mean?
Would that be like exit velocity? Like how fast?
Now that's
you hit
so
it?
exit velocity is
Okay.
actually a separate category.
Okay.
Hard hit percentage.
I guess then a hit that's strong enough to land and get you on base.
Okay. So in a very roundabout way,
Yeah.
they take the percentage of whatever metric that they're using to what is considered a hard hit. Doesn't necessarily have to mean that it lands
Mhm.
and it's an actual hit, but hard hit, okay? A hard hit percentage. They are third last in the league. If I said something to you, okay, and you mentioned this, exit velocity,
Sure.
okay? What do you take exit velocity to be?
The speed of the ball, how hard it was
Coming
hit,
off the bat.
coming off the bat. Correct. Yeah.
Coming off the bat. Toronto Blue Jays, last in Major League Baseball.
Terrible.
Barrel percentage.
I don't know
Barrel
what that is.
percentage.
Yeah.
Okay, so barrel of the bat is sweet spot of the bat.
Oh, okay. Where
So
it hit
percentage
on the
of balls that you're hitting, that you're barreling. Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh lowest.
Last.
Okay, there's a seventh worst. A vast improvement. So these are some of the fancy stats that pertain to hitting. And they are last or near last in some of these very important categories. So I ask you, as a non-baseball guy, what fucking data is this front office using that sells them on the idea that, yeah, we like what we're seeing? What?
What if
What are
they're
you
just
seeing?
running? What if they're just running a simulator on MLB 25, and they're just like, yeah, I don't know. I think we're good. Look, we should be good. Look, the sim said we're gonna be good.
This is a front office that doubled down on an idea that started last season and an unwillingness to admit fault or wrongdoing. And no GM will ever admit it, because the way that it gets admitted in sports is when the person above you fires you. I, the person making the decision to fire your ass, am admitting that it's not working, so you're out of here. But it's much to what you said, Ant. It's a philosophical change that's needed throughout this organization, and a failure this past offseason to tweak the formula just a little bit, right?
Also,
I was listening to
yeah.
a radio. Sorry, Igor, quickly. I was listening to a radio show this afternoon. And what did they say, Serge? The same thing that we brought up on the podcast a couple days ago when we were focusing primarily on the Jays, last week's podcast. And the broadcaster, Blair and Barker said, how would they look if they had Teoscar's 11 and 40 placed in their lineup?
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to be a trailblazer here. I'm not revolutionary. I'm not, it's like our opinions are, it's out there, guys. Like, they need more bats. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Please stop telling me that you ran the numbers through with your fucking dot matrix printer and the spreadsheet. Like, looks like it's all nice. I don't care.
Yeah.
Some guy who's got a pencil over his ear and he's putting all these numbers together. Like, I watched Moneyball.
Yeah.
It was just a decent movie. It was just decent. Like, it was
Brad
just
Pitt
okay,
feels differently, man.
right? I don't need to like follow it like it's a Bible. You need to be able to change, and that's why, like, and Berube today, Schneider next week when they announce his firing and we go to a managerial change. It's almost insignificant if you keep the same group together that's making whether it's the players on the Leafs or I'm more and more I'm going after the management on the Jays. If you keep that, I don't want him firing the manager because he's just going to bring in another guy that's the exact same. Like, honestly, he needs to go. It's got to happen soon before the kids are out of school. And you get summer baseball and and the attendance has been great. You know what I mean? Like, my God, like it's not even like that we're suckers or we're stupid or we're paying high prices, blah, 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 blah. Like, we're trying to like this team, and like yesterday, the manager looks like a genius. He puts Danny Jansen in the 2-hole. He gets 5 RBIs, blah, 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 blah. Everyone has a good day. Today, they're facing a lefty who throws hard. They can't hit anyone who throws the ball hard because this team cannot get ready to hit a fastball. Then get rid of these guys. But if he's telling you that, well, no, the spreadsheet says, well, that's not what I see, then what are you watching?
Slowest swing speeds.
Yeah,
in all of baseball.
To connect it to last week's podcast.
Yes, please.
About how all 3 teams are the same. It just sounded like Atkinson's presser was a regurgitation of, well, we got respect in the handshake line. Like, that's what that was the equivalent. I was like, I don't need to hear that shit again, ever.
Oh, I don't know why you even have to bring the general manager down to speak. Like, what's he going to say? Like, what? I listened to that, and again, like, no GM is going to come down and say, oh, it's shit. It hasn't worked. I screwed up. We're going to try to correct it. I mean, I'd love it if someone came out and said that, but it doesn't happen, right? And it's costing this team dearly, and it's really, really, it's unfortunate because, again, and I know it's just simple stuff. But what would Teoscar's 11-40 look in this lineup? And we highlighted him just simply because he signed a 1-year deal. If Teoscar Hernandez was given a 1-year deal from the Jays, right beside the Dodgers offer, I promise you he would have taken the Jays offer. Because it's a team that he knows, players that he's played with, and he didn't want to leave in the first place.
Correct. And you would have won some goodwill with the fans.
You would have won some goodwill with the fans. Yes.
Right?
And it would have been just a tweak in the formula. It would have been conceding top-notch defense in left field by putting him there, but you gain on the offensive side, like heavily gain on the offensive side. And Varsho would have moved to center field, and you never would have brought back Kiermaier. Whatever, probably cost you an extra $10 million on the books. Great. It is what it is. But you might be looking at a slightly different offense. And then, to double down on the points that we made last week, every other move they make this past offseason just makes more sense. Then you can sell the idea of, we went out and we got more offense to play left field. We want to keep the same level of defense at third base. That's why we're signing Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and he will be a bottom of the order bat. And we want to keep the defense or reasonable defense at second base. This is why we're not going to make an investment in another player. We're going to keep the rotation of Schneider and Biggio and whatever, and see if someone comes out. Then you're selling an understandable idea at that point. Even the Justin Turner signing, even though that hasn't looked particularly great because he's kind of shit the bed a little bit after a hot start. But then it's also like, yes, and we're also going to go, it's an age DH, but he had a good offensive. Like, it just makes bringing back someone like Teoscar last offseason would have just made everything else make sense. Instead, everything else turned into a double down on.
Because, like, right now, my biggest issue, I have two issues. One, like, every day that I don't have something to do, I think about, should I go watch the game tonight? And then I'm almost like, oh, thank God I didn't go watch that. Right?
So
Like that sucks.
Yeah,
That's
That does
frustrating.
suck, yeah.
yeah.
Right? So it's like you don't even know what you're gonna go see every night. It's too much Jekyll and Hyde. But also, do you know the direction of this team? Do you have any idea what it is? Their two quote unquote stars are free agents in 2 years. Mum's the word on contracts. Their best hitter this year is a free agent at the end of the year, Danny Jansen. Are we bringing him back? Are we going to trade him? Are they just going to wait to see if in the next 10 games they shit the bed and then they'll just start selling off? Are the kids coming up? Is what the kids are doing down in the farm, is it real? Is it not? Like, is there any real hope for that? I get it. You don't call on AAA kids to save the men that are playing in the majors. It doesn't usually work like that. But like, where is this direction?
How do you not? Can I ask
So what
a
do you do?
question?
You just wait, but you just wait like 15 more games,
But
and then that's it. We're done.
how do you not? Okay, so on the contracts, how do you not resign your two best players at this point? Even if you want to give me the age-old, I don't know that they're going to be worth their money in 5 years. Who gives a shit? Because
You're not
that's
gonna be here
just
for 5 years, though.
no, but that's just a
Chances
projection. So the point that I'm making at the end of the day is contracts are tradable in Major League Baseball. Like they are. So if you give Vladdy 8 times whatever, that doesn't make him untradeable tomorrow. Like he would have to literally fall off of a cliff as a player from not to be he's 25 years old. Like what are we even talking about here?
No,
Boba
and you don't have to do like they've definitely downgraded from the, like, they're not going to get a 12-year $480 million contract. Like they just aren't.
So
Right?
at
Like
the end of the day,
but there's
go get
no clue what this team is doing.
but
They could announce contract extensions tomorrow. They could also announce they've all been traded.
okay, but then where are you going? Is that what you think that this ownership wants? You think that Rogers just invested every dollar that they invested in that stadium so that it can lose 50% of its capacity that's going to watch if you sell off? There is no effing way.
Everything you say is true. 100%. I agree. But they had every reason to go against that frame of mind. Sorry, they had every reason to follow that frame of mind after their lack of playoff success, and they doubled down.
Well, and I think that
Like,
what you're
this is
going to
what I don't
have
get.
is the ownership at this point. At either it's coming now or it will definitely come by the end of the season. Look at Shapiro in the face and say, "Let's go get a move on." Mark Shapiro has kept his his only general manager here in Toronto, because I am not going to count the 5 minutes that he was here at the end of the 2015 season when he formally got announced. Mark Shapiro has had one GM his entire tenure here as president. That's Ross Atkins. Every GM has got a bullet, if not two, to be able to make these changes.
4 coaches.
Okay. It is my belief.
3 coaches?
Yeah, it is my belief that Rogers does not want to walk away from him as a president, because I think that they're very pleased with what he's done with the business side. It's not the baseball side, the business side. But I think the gun is to the head now. You need to make changes on the business side, because we can ill afford to have this stadium come in at 50% less capacity, because we fumbled this so badly that now we're going to go into a rebuild. No way. You resign Vladdy. You resign Bo. Worry about it 5 years from now if you don't like the players, okay? If you don't like what they're doing, or you feel that the salary of the team has gotten too out of control that you need to make cuts. Worry about it then. Worry about it then, because you'll still be able to trade them at 29, 30 years old. Get them locked up under long-term contracts now. Get it sealed so that your fan base says, okay, there is a commitment to this core, and figure out how to rebuild around that core again. And that can be a combination of the kids that are in AAA right now that are eventually going to come up, and start to surround them and create a new window in conjunction with another free agent signing or something to start putting this over the top. But you have got to change, as Igor said, some of the personnel, because if you're working into hitters counts and we're working into good counts, right? And everyone keeps missing the damn fastball, okay, or keeps chasing a breaking ball, then start to change it. And Vladdy's not a problem right now. I'd like to see him hit more home runs, as everyone would. But the guy, I think, is batting 400 in the last 20 days. He ain't the problem. Bo Bichette, outside of a couple of games in his last 10 games, is hitting again. So your best players are starting to play like your best players. But as we always say in baseball, the manager and the coach cannot control when the best players are going to come up because it's a batting order. So if the Jays are down a run or they're down 2 runs and it's the bottom of the 8th or the bottom of the 9th and 7, 8, and 9 are coming up, or number 6 is coming up.
But they're not losing. Like they're
I'm
generally
just
the lineup
saying.
is generally, like again tonight, 2 hits. Right?
Yeah,
So they've
well,
had their
it sucks.
They get to
It
go.
sucks.
They don't get to always go up, but they get to go up first, and they're not always setting the tone.
Well,
So,
I mean,
look, Vlad's
listen.
been hot, but I don't know. Like, give me something. Give me a Danny Jansen extension. Then give me something, because they let everybody kind of fall behind, right? Like this, whether it's Marcus Semien and
I'm smiling in the corner
Oh.
here. Tim Meza just gave up runs again. So
nice.
I'll give you something. I'll give you something.
Yeah.
Break this down for me as a non-fan, okay? Because I'm trying to understand it. How are baseball players good at offense, but not good at defense? It's like, aren't you just standing around waiting for a ball to be hit beside you? Like, just go run and get it. Like, where is the disconnect? Like, how are they?
you're talking about the best offensive players.
Sure, versus and them not
being
like,
the
us-
best, also
not-
not being the best defensive
Yeah,
player.
like what is the change in game when you're literally standing around and the baseball may never, for the whole game, may never be hit close to you, so you don't even have to do anything.
So it's just, I can't even break down what defense is. Like I don't think I can articulate it properly, but it's
Knowing who to throw it to and when.
It's not
right?
that, but that's not what it is.
No, but Igor,
Forget
like
about that.
they're completely not connected, right? Because they have a break in play as
No.
you prepare to hit, and then then the game stops, and then you go to a dugout and put on a glove. You prepare to defend. Like,
Yeah.
there's no flow.
No,
Well,
but
then
what
it's
he's
still
saying
fine, but,
is
like,
like
how is
someone
your
like
skill
Kevin
level
Kiermaier.
not-
But what he's saying is the best offensive players in the game are not necessarily the best defenders. So
Mookie
how
Betts-
can you be so talented?
Well,
With
Mookie
so
Betts
how,
is Mike Trout is a Gold Glove center
but we're
fielder.
talking finite. We're talking finite, right?
Okay.
So
Like, take our
Uh,
team. Just take our team as an
Right.
example. Like, we went, like you guys said, we doubled down on D, right? Because
Right.
a couple of years ago, we were all offense. Home runs were flying out of here like it was Christmas, but we had no defense. So how is that not a thing? Like, where is the disconnect for the player to not know
It's
how
the
to
game
catch
itself.
a
It's
ball
the
and
complete
then
disconnect
throw a
within the
ball?
game itself. It's a complete disconnect within the game itself. You're the best pitcher. It doesn't mean you could play short. It's so mechanic. It's based on mechanics. It's based on it's individual select skill sets. It is the most unique game in the world. There's nothing harder to do in
I don't
sports
know.
than it is to hit a baseball.
No.
yes,
and
but
that's
they
fine.
can hit
I'm
the
not-
baseball,
no,
but then they
I'm
can't
not
catch a
arguing-
ball in the
I'm not
outfield.
arguing
That's
the
what he's
offense.
saying.
Yeah.
No, and I get that, but that's what it is. Like, some guys' ability to hit a ball.
Yeah.
I mean, go watch youth baseball. You'll see that.
That's fine. I don't care about the offense.
For the most
offense
part,
is
they're
great.
called first basemen.
Why is the defense bad? Like, what happens to you as a professional athlete making $45 million a year that when it's time to go and just stand in the outfield?
Your ability to hold a bat, see a ball, recognize a pitch,
But
quick
forget that.
hands,
Forget
has
that.
nothing
After
to do
that.
with your ability to move your feet, get in front of a ball, and make a throw. They're two
So then,
different things.
are they athletes then? If they don't know how to run,
Oh, here we
like
go again.
if they can't run to get a ball, and then
But
They're
it's
not
not
saying that they
right.
can't run. They're not saying that they
It's-
can't. What they
it's-
don't do is they don't have the best skills. But so
I don't get it.
Okay, so for the next game,
Yeah,
first game of the year, Austin Matthews will not play center. He will play.
but that's
He'll
different.
play top line D.
No, but I think that's the comparison's different. There's like a giant playbook.
No.
They have playbook. They're never standing in one spot.
But it's not a question of standing. So listen,
Igor, how come the
when you're
best wide
playing
receiver in
defense,
football can't throw a ball?
okay, hold on a
How
second.
come he's not a quarterback?
that's not his job. That's
Well,
not his job.
like what these guys get to the majors for, what they get recognized for, is a certain skill set. Some guys are better defensively, right? Catchers, generally, for the most part, are there because they can call a game, block balls, throw out runners. When they can also hit, that's elite.
There is
It's the enigma of the game.
there is a process on defense. Does not matter the position that you play, in how quick your brain can recognize the second that ball is hit off the bat where it's going. And some guys can process and can see the ball crystal clear and understand where it's going to go
Mm-hmm.
a lot better than the vast majority, right? Now, they're all elite. Like they're still the elite of everyone that's out there that's playing baseball.
Right.
But it's like so someone like Teoscar in the outfield, he had a good arm, he could throw. He wasn't exceptionally good at reading the ball off the bat when it would get hit to the outfield. And what I mean by that is there was never an easy catch, right? So hard hit balls in certain areas eluded him when he was playing defense.
Hold on. You're telling me you can see 100-mile-an-hour
Yeah, it's
pitch,
different. Yes.
but you can't see a ball
Yes, it's
flying
different.
300 yards.
But it's different.
No,
It's
but you
different.
do for the most part.
Like you see
You're
it,
just not as good at the.
you're
other
not
thing as you are at
registering
one,
it. You're not registering it as quickly.
right?
Okay.
What do you want me to tell you?
I think
But
it's weird. I'm
okay.
not saying you guys are wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I cannot understand. I can't understand it. And you know
Go
what?
play.
When we go to the
Every
game,
elite
no.
baseball player on defense is a goalie, but that they don't like. You can't give a goalie a stick and say now go score, right? Like you, but
Some do.
and that's an extreme example.
No, I
That's
know.
an extreme example because
Martin Brodeur.
you still have some elite players.
Yes.
Right.
That's the uniqueness of the game. This is why this game,
Anyways,
you know,
it is the uniqueness of the game. Just to wrap up this Jay stuff, last night's win against Chicago opened up a stretch of 16 games out of the next 20 in which they are playing quote unquote favorable opponents. In that 20-game stretch, only a 4-game series against Baltimore presents itself as what you would consider to be a tough opponent. They got games against the White Sox. They've got games against Detroit. They've got games against Oakland. In previous years, I would have called it the cupcake portion of the schedule. But with this particular edition of the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't know that I use that term. Anyways, if they're going to make any hay in staying in the race this season, it is very important for them to take advantage of this part of the schedule. They are down 5-0 going into the 9th, likely to lose tonight. So they'll be 1-1 in the start of this schedule. I had mentioned before, Tim Meza came in while they were down 3-0, gave up runs. I felt it was important to mention Tim Meza because as he came into the game, I've got WhatsApp on my PC, and it's pinging messages from you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. Kyle messaging, Tim Meza's coming into the game. He's going to give up runs. Tim Meza's into the game. He shouldn't be in the game. And lo and behold, he gives up runs. So, Kyle, you baseball savant, you have figured it out. Tim Meza is going to give up runs. I concede. That's fine. No more Tim Meza this season. Jays need to fix their bullpen, Ant.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Bullpens are year to year.
Yeah, they are year to year.
And it really shows this year like it's just too much of an extreme. Yep.
Yeah. Way big extreme. And there's only a couple guys doing it. Chad Green should be back, hopefully soon. Maybe that helps. But man, oh man, It's not helping. Obviously your offense needs to score. That would help the bullpen too. But anyway, J stuff parked to the side. Let's end it.
Berube?
Berube, the coach, is put in front of everyone today. By the way, a little weird to anybody that Pelly had to be a part of this and Shanahan had to be a part of this.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was Shanahan there when we hired Babcock?
Well, Shanahan.
No, I mean, he was there, but like at a press conference to announce Babcock's.
Well, yeah, because Babcock was brought in before Lou. They hired Babcock before they changed, before they brought in Lamoriello. So yes, I mean Shanahan was there for that one.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, I don't remember Shanahan being at the introduction of Kyle Dubas, but I guess not Kyle Dubas. Sorry, Sheldon Keefe. I don't remember him being there at the introduction of Sheldon Keefe as a coach. I could be wrong, but I don't remember Shanahan there. So I just looked at it today and I'm like, oh, you needed the whole army to introduce the coach? Interesting. But put that aside.
Yeah, they didn't really say anything. You can't really blame them because there's nothing they can say because they're not going to come out on national television and be like, yeah, Marner sucked. The only reason we haven't won is because, Tavares is a piece of crap captain. We're going to strip him with the C. Like, no one's going to say that. And they're not going to give you their forward plan right away either because they didn't have enough time to even create one. And B, who are you? Things are kept between four walls and a door, and hopefully they have a window. But yeah.
Joseph Walls? No? Huh?
I did. So there was a quote. I'll read it to you now.
Thank you.
We don't want to be outworked ever. It's all about the team. Everybody is important. Everybody has to be utilized, and everyone has roles. We want to play a north-south game, be fast, and be a heavy team, not running guys and fighting, but being strong and winning puck battles.
Nice. Hockey cliche 101.
Again, I don't have a problem with it per se. However, it's nice to I can pick some things that were good because we haven't been a fast team since the kids got called up. That hasn't been our identity. Because before Marner, Nylander, Matthews, right?
Sorry. Yeah.
So we used to be a fast team. We used to be a north-south team. That was our identity. Now I'm not sure what our identity is, but hopefully, that we're trending in the right direction to figuring it out.
I can tell you what the Leafs' identity is in one soundbite.
Basically, just beat yourself.
That is their identity. Listen, much to what you said, you don't expect anything to come out of these news conferences, anyways. So, we're not going to give you the roadmap for what we think our offseason is going to look like. And I'll double down that I don't even think that they fully figured out what that offseason is going to look like. What I will say, though, is exactly what I said off the top here. I hope that there isn't this little bird in Treliving's ear that is saying, give it some time under Berube before you make any drastic changes. If they come back with the same core, the same nucleus next season, it's just like you failed. You failed.
Would it surprise you, though?
Yeah, but nothing surprises me with this organization, right? So, and that's part of what I fear more than anything is, let's see it under this guy and this voice. And that, besides the fact that I think that the hiring.
You can only do that if you thought Sheldon Keefe was an absolute idiot of a coach, and he wasn't.
Well, he wasn't saying how amazing coach he was and stuff.
Well, you know what I mean?
It's not great in the playoffs. Not great in the playoffs.
Right.
Something will come. A change will be made.
Well, let's And you truly believe that, though. You truly believe.
Yeah, this is it. This is the year.
Okay.
They didn't even lose to a good Boston team.
No, they didn't. No,
Right?
they
Like,
didn't.
I'm sorry to say.
No, they didn't. And that's part
more
of
painful though.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I feel like the last time Boston went to the finals when we lost.
They lost to a bunch of minimum salary guys. Like there's a lot of minimum salary, second, third, fourth round picks on that team.
Let me ask you,
this. With limited upside. Like that team, Boston knows they accomplished nothing. By beating the Leafs. Like they are going to look at their team and go, how do we get to another level because we aren't good enough?
Well,
I had a friend of mine at work today say, well, as long as who's a huge Boston fan and said, well, I'm just happy that they beat the Leafs. Oh, fuck. You need to have greater aspirations for your team.
Oh, yeah.
That's just BS. That'll get you nothing.
Yeah, desire more. I mean, we expected you guys to do it.
Whether they trade Allmark, whether they make whatever they do, find a way to improve their team.
Well, isn't he a free agent?
No, he's got 1 year left on his deal.
Allmark has term?
1 year left on his deal. 1 year. Yeah. And a 16-team no-trade list.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
You think Toronto's on that list?
The issues, the days, and the life and journeys of the Toronto Maple Leafs are not unique to the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's all kinds of players with no trades and no moves and blah, 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 blah. And we're not happy and get rid of this guy and he sucks and he's a bum. You just got to make your move and hit.
It's a league thing. And I've said that before. It is a league thing. But sometimes you draw a line. Sometimes you draw a line. And I don't know. Would it have hurt the Leafs to draw the line and say, we're just not handing that shit out anymore? And if you want to be a Toronto Maple Leaf and we want you to be a Leaf, these are the things. But players want a little bit too much control in today's NHL, and this is where we're at, and it is what it is. Answer me this. Igor, you can chime in on this too. What do you feel is the biggest need? You can even say that. Now, let's go with the bit. Like, what do you feel the biggest need is for the Leafs this offseason? Aside from this, you got to trade something from the core, but from a positional standpoint, what do you feel is the most pressing out of all the positions on the team?
Defense. Two shutdown defensemen. Physically changing, tempo changing defensemen.
More important than finding a goalie to go with Joseph Wall.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because D makes the goalies look good. Right? If you're not letting in that many
I didn't know
high
who
danger
Vancouver's
shots,
goalie
then
was.
your goalie's going to, if he's at least 90%.
Okay.
And while I would argue there's kind of proof in the pudding that, you look at who's left in hockey, 3 of the 4 are, Vezina candidates, right? So I understand that. But you could also go far, with a goalie who gets hot. And so that being said, I'm also still on the bandwagon of Sorokin from Marner.
Yeah.
I actually almost fell off my treadmill when you said that. Like my eyebrows were like, they almost ended up here.
Sorokin is the guy that you would love, Igor? Like you've got a thing for Sorokin.
Well, listen, the cap hit's not gonna, like you said, right? Trading Marner and getting rid of 11 or 10-9, whatever, and then bringing in 8-5 isn't giving you a whole whack of cap to play with and buy new toys. So but
it's giving you a goalie.
That's what I'm saying. But at the same time,
and sorry,
he's young
Igor, but
too.
Yeah, exactly. And it checks off all the things you spoke about earlier, Serge. All the whole things about I'm going to speak to my wife. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to raise a family? Amongst the NHL, Long Island.
Long Island
right
is
there.
not a bad city.
It is right there in terms of the family stuff.
Long Island is actually, like you want to, I was going to say you want to go get affordable cottage. That doesn't even exist anymore. But I mean, you want to talk about nice summer place to be. Let's go rent an Airbnb in Long Island and go spend a week there. It's nice. It's nice. Like you're on the water.
Yeah, it's hell in the winter though.
So is here.
No,
they don't drive.
Well, I know, but still.
Oh, give me a break. You guys, I want to end on this. You guys mentioned Tanev before, and I know that he was a target of True Living, and he's going to be a popular name this offseason if he makes it to free agency. If Tanev makes it to the next round, he's already going to likely get at least another 6 games here, even if Dallas loses. But if he goes to the Stanley Cup final, stay the fuck away.
Yeah, the price is going up every game.
No, but even more than that, that's a 34-year-old now that's going to have played 100 games this season. Like, there's wear and tear that comes with deep runs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he is not going to be that great for you next year.
No.
And then, okay, so the Leafs shit the bed again next year. Then it's a 35 or a 36-year-old Tanev. The season, just stay away, man. Stay away. That's all I can say. Let someone else make the mistake. I agree with you guys. They've got to find a couple of pieces at minimum here on D. But this is also the area where I feel they can really fuck themselves and handcuff themselves badly if it's the wrong guys in the wrong term. I think there's going to be options out there.
There's a lot of options. Montour,
Tree
Pesci,
Living,
right?
but it all depends on what the numbers are. If I tell you that you can get Montour for 6 times 6, I think everyone here says you do it, even though he's 30. But what if Montour costs you 6 times 8.5?
Too much.
You got to walk away.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really hoping that True Living has lines in the sand, with his targets. And if it creeps over that line, I get it. As much as you need to correct and add to this team, mistakes happen, especially on July 1. Go the trade route, right? Yeah. It's not, again, I've said this before, it's not just about trading Mitch Marner. But it's not just about trading Mitch Marner. It's
what
not
else
just
trade and get any value back. Tavares?
You don't know what other teams value right now. Don't sit there and assume anything. And no, it's not Tavares, because I don't think Tavares is going anywhere.
That's what I'm saying. What else do they have?
But you don't know what other teams value, is my point. You don't know what they value. Guys that you might be sick and tired of here might still, in a package, value to another team because they see something differently. In every sport,
I've been an advocate of moving Morgan Riley just as much of
that's another
Marner.
One. That's
I would,
one.
you know what? I'll be honest. If they said to me you only can move one, I would leave it up to them and say, okay, trade the guy you get the better offer for.
Yeah, well, you're going to get a better offer, I would think, for Marner.
Yeah.
But then again, they both have no movement clauses. So if Morgan Riley says, okay, yep, I'll take a deal, but I only want to go to Vancouver, I don't think Vancouver's making that trade tomorrow. Just saying.
But so very quickly, because I know we got to wrap this up, but look at Ryan McDonough today. He makes a phone call to Nashville and says, hey, can you trade me back to Tampa? Sure, done.
Is that how it went down?
There is
I don't know how else it could have went down.
There is
I don't know
tweet.
what other narrative is there?
Why? Does he have a no trade clause?
Well,
does McDonough have a no trade clause?
Probably not.
And if he has a clause, so then what? Nashville calls him and says, we're looking to move you. Where would you like to move to? I'd like to move to, okay, I'll take a trade to Tampa. I don't know how that went down. Don't even, please, Igor, please do me a favor. Okay.
Well, there is a tweet.
Take Banksy or whatever
it's not.
Whatever the hell his name is on X.
It's not Banksy.
Okay?
It's not Banksy.
All right.
But
whoever these stupid people are that are coming up with dumbass rumors.
It appears the purpose of the McDonough trade was to set up Barry Trotz to aggressively pursue a top scorer. The Preds have been linked to Marner for the past few weeks and now have a cap hit of $61.65 million for next season, which gives them a lot of room. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But then obviously you got Saros coming back and whatever.
Yeah. If he wants to go to Nashville.
If he wants to go.
Viewers and listeners, friends, if you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button. Subscribe. Leave a comment. I didn't get enough comments last week. There's this one idiot that keeps commenting on stuff.
What a weirdo, right?
Ritz Cracker. Ritz Cracker. You're gonna find out who he is.
Well, please don't.
And then there's your sister aunt, who I absolutely adore. So I actually I like true fans. So she likely started listening to the podcast because of you, but listens to every episode even when you're not on.
Correct.
And we need more of that. I
could bring her on one day. She has great stories from the 80s of the Celtics and the Lakers, where my basketball fandom started.
That's where it started. Eh?
Oh, shit. It was wild. The Celtic fan against the Laker fan, we would not talk throughout the month of June. It was ugly.
Wow. Well, 80s. Would you believe that the 80s were 50 years ago?
Shut up.
It's unbelievable.
Igor, sorry, the 80s were a time before you were born.
I was born in the 80s. Thanks, guys.
He was born in the 80s? Yeah. Had a sneeze. Anyways, if you're not watching on YouTube and you're listening to us on one of the streaming platforms out there, we appreciate it. Again, subscribe so you get a notification of when a new episode comes through. And with that, we thank you for listening this week. Episode 58. 58. We're coming on 60. Woohoo! It's exciting. We will catch up with you in the next episode, everybody. Have a good week.
See ya.
Episode 58 is one episode more than the Leafs have gone years without winning a cup.
Yeah. So
Ciao.
58, not 67. Take care, everybody.
Enjoy the playoffs, Leaf fans.